Hey pups, what's up? It's Kumerai Fang here, and man, I've missed a lot this year.
You serve a lot, but I got more now.
Like, I'm legitimately shocked how much I've let slide by me. Post Malone actually rapping, the follow-up to Finesse, not one, but two shitty Ariana Grande singles, as well as dark and edgy done to perfection. This includes me being late for a Jonas Brothers reunion and the longest-running #1 hit song in Billboard's entire history, among other things. I need to fix that. As per always, we got 6 tiers ranging from shit to great, as well as my own ranking system to determine the quality of the charts overall. Usually I review the most recent week in Billboard's history as of the time of me recording, but I started writing this for the week of August 16th, and I'm sticking with it. And with that, let's get started with...
I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's home to me and I walk alone. Hey look ma, I made it. Hey look.
You know, I remember the first time I heard this. It was actually the first time I listened to Pray for the Wicked, and I never, ever wanted to revisit it. The first reaction I had to this was surreal. My first thought about it was such a gut punch to me that I distanced myself as much as humanly possible from it. Also that way, I never had to acknowledge it. You can imagine my dread when this became a top 20 hit. I was okay with internalizing that first thought and just forgetting about it. I never said it out loud because I was afraid by doing so, this would get the commercial success that it has now. But we are here now, and my first thought hasn't changed. So, here it is. I like High Hopes more than this.
Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing.
High Hopes!
Hey look ma, I made it.
How you can beat that out, I don't know. The fact that High Hopes is the improvement to this just feels wrong to me. Aside from that, I need to save it for December.
I mean, where the fuck should I really even start? I got hoes that I'm keeping in the dark.
It's Drake. What do you want me to say at this point? That it's only slightly better than I'm upset? That every time Drake raps about his fame in any capacity, the more gray cells I feel like I've lost? That Rick Ross somehow manages to be worse just for not trying completely? Is that really what you want me to say? Because last time I checked, everyone knew that already. So, why repeat it?
I don't wanna play no games, fuck around, get you.
This is Back to Sleep.
Just let me ride. I don't wanna play no games.
I would have preferred to forget that song. In all fairness, No Guidance is better, but that's only because Drake is putting in some form of effort, and it's not a song where Chris Brown wants to screw his girl regardless of how she feels about it. Outside of that, there's really nothing memorable about this. It's one of the most forgettable songs in the top 10 right now. One I'm still debating if it's even worth putting on my worst list. It's that level of unnoteworthy and shit at the same time.
I got red, I got blue, what you want? The Chanel, Balenciaga, Louis Vuitton.
I said I was done with trap, and I meant it. The only reason this is in the bad tier is because I can't bring myself to loathe it the way I do its predecessors. But aside from that, it has almost all of the pitfalls that other trap songs have. To his credit, this guy does try to give the song an edge, which is better than most before him, but it's not catchy, it's not memorable. And I have a feeling once I start looking back at hits for this year, for my year-end list, I'm just gonna look at this and go, who?
You ain't my boyfriend, I ain't your girlfriend.
You know, within the next year, I think Ariana's pop career is going to be something that I just despise. Because ever since God is a Woman dropped, she's yet to release a single that I will willingly sit through. This being no exception. Wow. It's been a while since a song warned me how bad it was going to be. This sounds like a malfunction. and it persists throughout the entire song. Ariana's actually really enjoyable on this, so my gripes aren't with her. Bad Idea should be the single, but who hasn't said that yet? No, my gripes are with Social House. They're basically the Chainsmokers if both of the Chainsmokers had decided to take up singing. As performers, they're underwhelming at best, and they have absolutely no chemistry with Ariana. As producers, they're honestly worse. Say what you will about the Chainsmokers, but they did occasionally strike gold with their production. And even if you don't think they did, we can all agree that they were bad in a way that was fun to punch at. These acts give me a headache with just the main melody of the verses, all to lead me into a chorus that is basically thank you next.
But you ain't my boyfriend, I ain't your girlfriend. Thank you next.
Oh, and to avoid the obligatory what did you think of thank you next comment, I would stick it in the mediocre tier. I don't follow celebrities' personal lives, so the song does next to nothing for me. I personally find it forgettable. The only reason I remember its existence is because it's the title track of the album. But even with that, I will admit that it sounds pleasant, and it's about Ariana learning from past relationships, so I can see why other people like it. Not this. The only competent part is Ariana's, and the second that first chorus ends is the second that this goes back to being hell.
Gonna do the two-step, then cowboy boogie. Grab a sweetheart and spin out with.
You know it's not a good sign when I can say Miley Cyrus did this better 10 years ago and feel completely justified. It's bad. It's extremely bad. But damn it, at least it's trying to be upbeat and fun. This is slow. The production gets old after 30 seconds, and our performer? I don't know how, but even half-assing a dance song, one of the easiest things to half-ass and to have people defend, he still manages to make one of the biggest mistakes you could make for this type of song.
That was not so bad. That was not so bad.
I beg to differ.
Seconded. At least teach me how to Dougie tried not to make us feel embarrassed. Just for the record, this barely made it here.
The day bleeds into nightfall.
Because honestly, I have very few reactions when this comes on. I mean, I buy this more than I did Say You Won't Let Go, which is already a step in the right direction. But, his singing. I'm sorry, I usually don't go critiquing people's voices, but this is equally as bad, if not worse, than James Arthur was. Honestly, this guy's lucky that I don't care about any of the lyrics to this, because apparently they're awful.
Can we just talk? Can we just talk about?
Why can't this just be better?
Nothing feels better than this.
It's a great song. I'd much rather talk about the sensation it gives me compared to the underwhelming sensation I get when Talk plays. For starters, this beat is uncomfortable.
Never felt like this before.
It's catchy, yeah, but at the same time, its melody doesn't sound much like, you know, a melody. It's a jumpy instrumentation, and not in a good way. Not to mention, it sounds so damn awkward put up against Khalid's singing. But at the same time, aside from the main line of the hook, it's also the most memorable part about the song. I know that this is about Khalid trying to talk things over with his partner, but that's all I can recall about it. The lyrics don't stick with me, and Khalid feels like a non-present. And again, considering what he's capable of, that's a crime to me. However, none of this is done in a way that bothers me. I'm disappointed, yeah, but that's about the extent of it. This song makes me feel conflicted. On the one hand, I can certainly see this being an anthem for the LGBTQ community. You need to calm down is actually a pretty powerful thing to say in the face of adversity, highlighting how what a person is angry about isn't really a big deal, it's just blown up to make it seem like it is. It's miles better than previous Taylor Hater tracks also, which I can respect. There was a lot more thought put into this. Just not with both of them together. I may be a suburban white girl, but last I checked, throwing shade onto somebody isn't the same thing as not tolerating their existence for insert your reason here. That's what really bugs me about this. You need to calm down is trying to fight two different fights by putting them in the same lane as one another. when in reality, they're not. I get the idea of centering this around social media, but that still feels like a loose connection between the two. And even if that weren't the case, I don't like this music. The instrumentation to You Need to Calm Down is like if Blank Space was produced by the same people who made Fancy 5 years ago.
So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames.
And it doesn't work for me. I remember hating this song when I first heard it, but I've mellowed out since then. It's not awful. But, to quote a friend of mine, if this is a song for the LGBTQ community, then the LGBTQ community deserves better. When I heard what this was called, I wanted to laugh.
'Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. All the bad things
Its title, not the actual song itself. The juxtaposition is something though, because in my experience, songs like these usually don't work.
If you were dead or still alive.
Songs with this type of message usually don't fare well, either because the song's trying too hard, not trying hard enough, or just presented in a way that you can't take it seriously. In either case, the person behind the mic always sounds unconvincing when they say they don't care for whatever reason, which is why this song surprised me, because it actually doesn't have that problem. I still feel like it's not trying hard enough with its instrumentation, but Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber both sound like they fit, weirdly enough. Ed Sheeran's always sounded like a dork, and Justin actually sounds kinda nervous and a little conflicted, which is a tone he can definitely manage. All of this is centered around a song where they're nervous, but because their girls are with them, they feel like everything's okay. I'd actually argue that this were a decent song, actually, if not for one thing. That needs to die!
Well, I'm not paralyzed, but I seem to be struck by you. Huh? Packing the mail, it's gone. She like I smell cologne. Yeah, I just signed a deal, I'm on.
Like I said, on a level of done with trap that I can't even describe. That's actually kind of a shame, because DaBaby is pretty damn good. Solid bars, good charisma, not to mention a nice sense of humor. That's not something you usually see with a new breakthrough act, especially not with trap music. But again, this beat.
I'm the type to let nigga think that I'm broke until I pop out with $1 million.
It's not awful. I'd argue that it does more than most popular trap songs, but I can't get engaged. Nothing about it is memorable or catchy to me. Which again, considering the rest of the song's components, it's a shame.
Me and Kurt feel the same. Too much pleasure is pain. My girl spites me in vain. All I do.
Believe it or not, I actually feel sorry for this song, because its first half is just fantastic and worthy of the great tier. Post Malone's been transitioning to pop music for a little while, and this song and Circles were just the proof that that's the direction he was going in. The song is atmospheric, and Post Malone sells it. He's hit or miss as a singer, but I love how he fits into this song. His lyrics are also very poignant, highlighting a relationship that's failing on both ends and saying that they should just go their separate ways. It's bitter, but it's also mature and honest, which is not easy to pull off. And yet, it's here because... how should I say this?
Here comes Young Thug ruining everything, and I start going, no, 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 that's not how it's supposed to work!
Yeah, that sounds about right. I get the feeling Thuggish just saw the title to this song and thought it was supposed to be a fuck you to whatever ex he's speaking to. Because the only thing that shows him in the wrong in his verse, that is, aside from his tone, is the fact that he sounds like he recorded audio for an Alvin and the Chipmunks movie, and the audio file got bugged when they added the chipmunk effect. Again, I would put the song in the great tier if not for that.
I do my head talk, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling?
With the exception of Old Town Road, I'm on a level of done with trap that I can't even describe.
Take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
Surprise! Absolutely no one. Truth be told, I've been struggling to come to grips with how I feel about this and another song further up. Old Town Road started off okay, it turned great, it got old, then it got good again. Mind you, I never listened to it on the radio. I can't imagine how old it must be to other people. The fact that this is the longest running #1 hit of all time feels bizarre to me. I admit, I never really cared about Mariah's collaboration with Boyz II Men, and I think the Bieber remix of Despacito is subpar at best, so I'm not heartbroken that the record's broken. Even still, this doesn't feel like a song that would last more than a couple weeks at #1. I mean, granted, Lil Nas X does have an ear for a catchy hook, but he seems to be doomed to one-hit wonderdom. Panini seems to be making a run as its next hit, I grant you that, but it's been struggling since its debut. So, I can't imagine Lil Nas X becoming more of a thing than he is now. Besides, the only reason I think the song works as well as it does is because of the original remix with Billie Ray Cyrus. His contribution isn't anything special, but his presence makes the song feel balanced. He performs the first hook before Nas's verse, Nas performs the hook before his verse, and the two finish the song together, and they sound great. Doing this with a hook where they just want to head out, ride, and be free is actually very welcome to me. And besides, at least it's not one of the other remixes. That is what I was afraid this would sound like. Okay, first and foremost, this is a Camila Cabello song featuring Shawn Mendes, not a duet. Their last collaboration wasn't perfect by any means, but I've always liked it. Shawn and Camila were on the song equally, one not overpowering the other with their presence, and they were put into a situation where they had set roles. It's an actual duet, and I will gladly defend that. Señorita, on the other hand, is dominated by Camila. She's on the song more than Shawn is, and Shawn's role as her lover is actually kind of flimsy in comparison to hers, which is a shame because he's actually the best part about it. I've been warming up to Shawn Mendes a lot these last few years, especially now that he's given production that shows off his vocal strengths rather than highlights all of his weaknesses. And he does his part well, coming off as a smooth and sensual lover. Camila, on the other hand, well...
But friends don't know the way you taste, la la la.
She's hit or miss. I loved her on Havana, but that was because she was singing with her chest voice. Her other performances make her sound shrill at her worst and only okay at her best, which is how I describe her performance here. The production is actually pretty damn good, and the two of them have a lot of chemistry together, always have, so that makes up for a lot. But there's one thing in the songwriting that's just always bugged me.
I love it when you call me señorita.
Seriously? If Shawn likes it when his señorita calls him, then there's a very simple way to fix that chorus rather than just making him stop midway through a sentence. Actually, let me just show you. I like it when you call my señorita. See? Easy. I wonder if Shawn's ever sang that whole line live before. That would be pretty funny.
I'm a sucker for all the subliminal things no one knows about you.
I've always liked this, not gonna front. I mean, yeah, it is a slowed down version of Feel It Still, but really, that's just nitpicking. This song's fun, and so long as it's not overplayed, I can enjoy it for the simple upbeat song that it is. My only wish was that Joe was on this song more than Nick is.
I've been dancing on top of cars and stumbling out of bars.
I would much prefer that over Nick's falsetto, but again, that's just nitpicking.
I'm in Toronto and I got this view, but I might as well be.
Fun fact, I used to like this song a lot more. Back when it was called There's Nothing Holding Me Back.
I can't write one song that's not about you. Oh, I've been shaking, I love it when you go crazy.
Yeah, I know a blatant ripoff when I hear it. And as impressive as it was that it dethroned me the week it debuted, I can't support this the same way I did its predecessor. The song is honestly good in most of its entirety. Shawn's singing wonderfully, the production is well textured and balanced, and this type of music has always been a good fit for him. The problem, though, is the beginning.
I can't write one song that's not about you.
What made There's Nothing Holding Me Back feel glorious and big was its composition. The song starts soft and restrained, then leads into its chorus with energy and even a little bombast. Its presentation is built to a good payoff. Starting with the chorus takes away the effect that song had. We start at the high, we drop, then we're back up again. And the lead into the chorus feels a little awkward to me, so it's not as sweeping as I feel like it should be. It's honestly a shame when you look at it that way, but I'd be lying if I said that I didn't enjoy this even a little bit. Better to redo There's Nothing Holding Me Back than Treat You Better. I didn't expect to be able to talk about this. I mean, it's been here since winter, hasn't it? This song's longevity just goes to show how great it is as a standalone song. It doesn't need to be associated with the movie, although it certainly helped its chart run. I can't go too much into detail about this or the rest of the songs in this tier because, well, list season, but I will say this. Sound alone got this song here. First listen through, I wasn't even listening to the lyrics. What I heard was a pleasant but still sweeping melody, held up even better by our vocalists. It's a song I can go to in any mood because of that. This song leaves me feeling weirdly relieved by the time it finishes. It's not a feeling that most songs can give me, but in this case, it's definitely a welcome one.
Look what you made me do. I wish somebody knew.
Once again, Sound Alone got this song here. The somber atmosphere of the music combined with the lonely and longing tones from Sam Smith and Normani are just absolutely beautiful to me. It took my breath away the first time I heard it. And if I must say, quite the nice improvement from This Is What You Came For.
This is what you came for. Look what you made me do. I wish somebody knew.
Yeah, it's hard to unhear the similarities between these songs after Pucky of Bulk Noise brought it up, but my response to that is, so what? This Is What You Came For was forgettable when it came out, and I only remember it now because of Pucky. Dancing with a Stranger, on the other hand, took everything that song did and turned it into something beautiful and memorable. It deserves all the praise it gets. I've tried to suppress how much I love this song, and it didn't work. I mean, yes, it is one of the weaker songs from the album, but at the same time, this is a pretty good weak point on the album. For starters, I love songs that are tense, songs that are meant to send a shiver up my spine, and Billie Eilish knows how to do that well. Obviously, I prefer her doing this in Bury a Friend, but Bad Guy is still a great example of doing this. She plays a character that's laid back and more than willing to cross the line. She knows she's like this, and she just relishes in it.
Duh.
In case you can't tell, I love everything of Billie Eilish's that's gotten popular this year. And you know what? I'm not sorry for it. Well, except for the Bieber remix. That I'm sorry for.
Gold teeth, my neck, my wrist is froze. I got.
It's amazing how many people think this is shit, and I love them for it. Thank you, internet!
Why men gray till they gotta be gray? Don't text me, tell us.
In my humble opinion, this is one of the most deserving #1 hits we've had all year, if not the most deserving. Lizzo has the writing and charisma to sell this, a post-breakup song that's still a little frustrated, but celebrates the freedom from the relationship, and it is fantastic. I will have a lot more to say about this come December, but can we just stop and admire just how memorable this entire song is?
I put the singing single, ain't worried about a ring on my finger.
The first time I heard this song, I quickly memorized every single line. That almost never happens to me. The effort that went into the songwriting is just amazing. It's something that permeates a lot of Lizzo's songwriting, and you know what? Power to her. She almost feels too good for us to have, but damn am I happy we do. Okay, so that was the week. How did we do? We had 3 shit songs, 3 bad songs, 4 mediocre songs, 2 decent songs, 3 good songs, and 3 great songs. Adding up the score together, we get a whopping 53 out of 100, meaning we actually had an above average week. So things are a lot better than they were this time last year. And with that, we are done. Before we go though, special thanks to my Patreon pup, name withheld, for supporting me again this month. If you want to be a Patreon pup as well, there's a link in the description as well as at the end of the video. As for me, the best songs released in 2017 are up next, but until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I hope y'all have a howling good time. Woo!